It's 3 in the morning. The whole house is dead quiet. Everyone's asleep. And then, from somewhere down the hall, you hear it. A meow. Then a longer one. Then a sound that isn't really a meow at all. A yowl. Low, loud, almost human. It rolls through the dark like a siren, and it stops. And just when you start to drift off again, it comes back. Meow. Yowl. Meow. You lie there, staring at the ceiling, and you think the same thing every single person thinks at 3 in the morning. He's just hungry. Feed him and he'll shut up. And here's the thing I need you to hear before anything else. Most of the time you are wrong. Not because you don't love your cat. You do. You're the kind of person who gets out of bed at 3 in the morning to check on an animal. But the story you've been told about the crying cat, that it's begging for food, that a full bowl fixes it, that story is wrong more often than it's right. And in one specific group of cats, believing that story can cost you months, sometimes years. Now don't panic. I'm not telling you to throw on your shoes and rush to an emergency clinic right now. For most cats, this can wait until morning, okay? You can sleep, you can call your vet when the sun comes up, and it'll be fine. But there is one situation where the nighttime crying is a red flag you should not sit on, and I'm going to tell you exactly what it is and exactly how to tell the difference. What if I told you that the reason your cat won't stop crying at night usually has nothing to do with the food bowl at all, and that the real answer is either sitting in your living room, in the way you spend the last hour of your evening, or it's hiding inside your cat's body, waiting to be found? I'm Dr. Aurelio. I'm the old-school cat vet, the one people bring their cats to after 3 other clinics shrugged. And I see this, the night crying, the 3 a.m. yowling, more than almost anything else that walks through my door. Owners come in exhausted, wrecked. They haven't slept in weeks, and the first thing almost all of them say is the same. He cries all night, so I feed him, but it's never enough. And I have to gently take that idea apart. Because here's the truth. A cat that is truly dangerously hungry doesn't cry all night on a full stomach. Hunger is real, of course it is. But hunger gets solved by food and then it goes quiet. If you fed him a proper meal at 11 and he's still screaming at 3, the food already did its job. The bowl is not the answer, because the bowl was never the question. And I'll tell you the tell that proves it. Think about what happens when you finally give in and feed him at 3 a.m. Does he stop for good? Or does he eat a few bites, wander off, and start crying again 20 minutes later? Because if it were really hunger, the food would end it. When feeding him doesn't end it, that's your cat telling you, in the clearest way he can, that this was never about the food at all. Something else is. And I'm going to walk you through what that something else actually is. Starting with the answer that covers most healthy cats. Because if that's your cat, you can fix this without a single pill. Here it is. The single biggest reason a healthy cat cries at night is that he is bored, understimulated, and running on the wrong clock. Your cat is a predator. Deep in his wiring, he is built to hunt at dawn and at dusk. Those low-light hours are his prime time. And what does his day look like in your house? He sleeps. He sleeps while you work. He sleeps while you're out. By the time you go to bed, he has stored up a full tank of energy and 0 ways to burn it. So at 2, at 3, at 4 in the morning, that tank comes due. He patrols. He calls out. He's not asking for food. He's asking for something to do, and he's asking where his family went. And the tell for this one is simple. Watch for it. If your cat cries at night but is bright, eating normally, using the litter box normally, and the crying stops the moment you get up and pay attention to him, that's a behavior cat, not a sick cat. That's the cat you can fix with a schedule. So let me give you the schedule because it works, and it works fast. Now here's where most people mess it up, so pay attention, because the order matters more than anything else. The first piece is play, then feed, in that exact sequence, right before your own bedtime, not in the afternoon, at night. You take a wand toy, a feather, a little string mouse, anything he chases, and you play with him hard. Not 2 minutes, a real session, 10, 15 minutes, until he's actually panting a little, until his eyes go wide and his tail's twitching and he's stalking and pouncing like he means it. You want him to catch the toy at the end. Let him win. Because in a cat's brain, that whole thing is a hunt. And every hunt is supposed to end one way, with a kill and then a meal. So the second you finish playing, you feed him his last meal of the day. Hunt, catch, eat, groom, sleep. That's the natural cycle, and you just walked him through the whole thing on purpose. A cat who's hunted and eaten right before you turn out the lights is a cat who wants to curl up and pass out, right when you do. That's the biggest lever you've got. But there are a few more, and the next one catches almost everybody by surprise, so stick with me. The second piece is his environment during the day, while you're gone. Remember, the reason he's a menace at 3 a.m. is that he's stored up energy doing nothing all day. So we don't let him do nothing all day. This is where a food puzzle earns its keep, a toy he has to bat and roll and paw at to get a few pieces of kibble out of. Suddenly breakfast takes him 20 minutes of work instead of 20 seconds of gulping. And that work matters, because for a predator, working for food isn't a chore. It's the whole point. It's the closest thing to hunting he's going to get inside four walls. And it drains that tank in the best possible way. Put a cat tree or a shelf by a window so he can watch the birds, the street, the mail carrier, the world going by. That's cat television, and it burns real mental energy. A cat can sit at a window and chatter at a bird for an hour, and by the end of it he's as spent as if he'd run a mile. Leave a couple of toys out and rotate them, because a toy he sees every single day becomes invisible to him. His brain just stops noticing it. But the same toy put away for a week and brought back is brand new again, and he'll pounce on it like he's never seen it. That little trick alone can double how much play you get out of the toys you already own. And if you're gone long hours, think about the layout of his whole world. Vertical space to climb, a warm spot in the sun, somewhere high where he can survey his kingdom and feel like the boss of it. A cat whose body climbed and whose brain got a workout all day is not a cat with a full tank of chaos at midnight. He's a cat who's already tired, and a tired cat sleeps. The third piece is routine, and cats are almost religious about this one. Feed at the same times, play at the same time, wind the house down at the same time. Cats read the rhythm of a home like a clock, and a predictable rhythm tells his nervous system when it's safe to shut off. And this leads straight into the fourth piece, which is the hardest one for you, not for him. When he cries at night and it's just the boredom kind, you cannot get up and feed him. You cannot even get up and pet him. Because the very first time you do, you have taught him a lesson he will never forget. Crying at 3 a.m. summons the human in the food. He is not being spiteful, he's being brilliant. You rewarded the behavior, so the behavior grew. So you do the play then feed routine before bed, you make sure his needs are met, and then when he tests you at 3 a.m., and he will, you stay in bed. Silent. A few rough nights and the crying fades because it stopped working. That's not cruelty. That's you being consistent enough for him to finally relax. Now, some of you are doing all of this. The play, the puzzles, the routine, the whole thing. And your cat still cries. And this is the part of the video that matters most. So I need you to really listen now. Because this is the twist almost every owner gets wrong. Because here's the reversal. In an older cat, nighttime crying is not a behavior problem. It is a medical symptom until proven otherwise. And I mean it. If your cat is, say, 10, 11, 12 years or older, and the night yowling is new, it showed up in the last few months. It's getting worse. It's louder and more insistent than it used to be. That is not boredom. That is your cat's body waving a flag. And I've watched too many good owners treat a sick senior cat like a bored kitten, adjusting the feeding schedule for a year, while the real problem grew in the dark. So what is the flag pointing at? A few things, and these are the big ones. And I want you to know each one so you can actually watch for it. The first is a thyroid problem, an overactive thyroid, which is genuinely common in older cats. It pours stress hormones into a small body, and it revs everything up, the heart, the metabolism, the nerves, like the engine stuck at full throttle. And one of the classic signs is a cat who's suddenly ravenous, losing weight anyway, restless, wired, and yowling at night like the volume knob got stuck. He eats and gets thinner. You'll swear you're feeding him plenty, and he'll still feel like skin and bones when you pick him up. That combination, big appetite, shrinking cat, night noise, walks into my office all the time. And here's the mistake people make. They see him eating like a champion and think, well, he can't be sick. Look at that appetite. That appetite is the symptom. The good news is, it's very treatable once you catch it. But you have to catch it. And the night crying is often the very first thing you'll notice, before the weight loss is even obvious. The second is blood pressure. High blood pressure in cats often rides along with that thyroid problem, or with kidney trouble. And one of the cruelest things it does is go after the eyes. The pressure damages the back of the eye, and a cat can lose his sight quickly, sometimes almost overnight. A cat losing his vision gets frightened and disoriented, especially in the dark, especially at night, and a frightened, half-blind cat calls out. Think about it from his side. He wakes up and the world he's memorized for years is suddenly gone, blurred, dark, and he can't tell where he is or how to get to you. Of course he cries. If your senior cat is bumping into corners, misjudging jumps he used to make in his sleep, if his pupils look strangely large all the time, if he seems lost in a house he's lived in his whole life, that voice in the dark may be a cat who can't find his way and is scared out of his mind. And here's what I need you to hear. Caught early enough, that vision loss can sometimes be stopped, even reversed. Caught late, it's permanent. The clock is real on this one. The third is pain, and this is the one that breaks my heart, because your cat will hide it from you right up until the very end. Cats are the best animals in the world at hiding pain. Any vet who's watched cats suffer the way I have learns that the hard way. It's ancient wiring. In the wild, an animal that limps, an animal that whimpers, is an animal that gets picked off. So the cat evolved to swallow it, to keep a straight face, to act normal no matter how much it hurts. And arthritis in an old cat is everywhere and almost invisible. Almost every senior cat has some of it, in the hips, the knees, the spine, and almost no owner knows, because during the day he holds it together. He walks a little slower, sure, but you chalk that up to age. But at night, when he's stiff, when it's cold, when he's alone in the dark and the joints ache and there's no one to perform for, that's when the crying comes. Watch for the quiet tells, too. A cat who used to sail up onto the counter now takes it in 2 hops, or hesitates, or stops jumping up there at all. A cat who's grooming less or missing spots because twisting to reach them hurts. He's not being dramatic, he's hurting, and the night is when he finally can't hide it anymore. And the fourth, this is the one people have never heard of, and it's far more common than anyone realizes. Cats get dementia, real dementia. The vets call it feline cognitive dysfunction, and people call it kitty dementia. And it's basically the cat version of what happens to an aging human mind. The brain ages, the wiring frays, and the cat you've known for a decade starts to change in ways that don't make sense. He gets confused, he forgets where the litter box is, and has accidents in a house he was perfectly trained in for years. He stares at walls, at nothing, for long stretches. He seems to forget he already ate. And the big one, his whole sleep clock flips upside down, so he sleeps like a rock all day, and then he's up and wandering at night. And he stands in the middle of a dark hallway, at 3 in the morning, and he cries. This loud, lost, mournful yowl. Not a demand, a lament. Because he's disoriented, he doesn't recognize where he is, and he doesn't understand where his family went, or why the house feels so strange and empty. If you've ever heard that particular cry, the one that sounds less like a cat asking for something, and more like a cat calling out into an empty house looking for someone who isn't there, and your cat is old, listen to me, that sound has a name, and it deserves a vet visit, not a food bowl. Because even kitty dementia, there are things your vet can do to slow it down and make his nights calmer, but only if someone recognizes it for what it is instead of ignoring it for another year. So let me put the whole thing together, because I don't want you leaving here scared and confused. I want you leaving here knowing exactly what to do. If your cat is young or middle-aged, healthy, eating fine, using the box fine, and the crying stops the second you engage him, that's behavior. That's the bored predator on the wrong clock. You fix that with the play-then-feed routine, the daytime enrichment, the steady schedule, and the discipline not to reward the 3 a.m. concert. Give it a couple of weeks of doing it right and most of these cats settle. But you go to the vet and you don't wait on it, if any of these are true. If your cat is a senior and the night crying is new or getting worse, if he's eating like a horse but losing weight, if he's drinking a lot more than he used to, if he seems disoriented, lost, bumping into things, staring at walls, if the yowl is that loud, lost, calling into the void sound, or if the crying comes with any change in his body, hiding, not grooming, trouble jumping up where he used to jump easily, any of those, and this is not a behavior problem you can train away. This is a body asking for help, and the earlier you answer, the more your vet can do. And I'll say this plainly, because I know some of you are already reaching for the internet to find a supplement or a dose to quiet him down at night. Please don't. There is no home remedy, no dose you should be guessing at, for a senior cat crying in the dark. The single most useful thing you can do is get a real exam and let your vet run the blood work and check the blood pressure. For any medication, any supplement, any amount, ask your veterinarian what's right for your cat's weight and your cat's health. Because the 4 things I named, the thyroid, the pressure, the pain, the dementia, every one of them is manageable when it's caught. And every one of them is a tragedy when it's ignored, because somebody kept refilling the food bowl. Here's what I really want you to walk away understanding. That sound in the dark is not your cat being difficult. It's the only language he's got. A young cat crying at night is saying, "I have nothing to do and I miss you." An old cat crying at night might be saying, "Something hurts," or "I'm scared," or "I can't find you in this house I've lived in my whole life." And in both cases, the cruelest thing we do is roll over, mutter, "He's just hungry," and go back to sleep. Because the one animal on earth who is best at hiding how much he's suffering is finally at 3 in the morning, in the dark, when he thinks no one's judging him, telling you the truth. So don't feel guilty if you've been getting it wrong. Almost everyone does. The whole world will tell you a crying cat is a hungry cat, and now you know better than the whole world. You know to look at his age, at his body, at whether the food bowl actually fixes it, and you know when it's a schedule to fix and when it's a phone call to make. That's not something most owners ever learn. And the old-timers who kept cats alive for 20 years knew it in their bones. You don't feed a cry, you listen to it. Do the best you can with what you've got, and get him to someone who can look closer when your gut says the crying isn't right. Because that's how it's still done in every home that truly loves a cat. So tell me down in the comments, how old is your cat, and what does the crying sound like at night? Is it the bored kind that stops when you get up? Or is it that long, lost yowl into the dark? Tell me, because I read these, and sometimes the way you describe the sound tells me more than any test. And if this helped you hear your cat a little differently tonight, follow along. I've got a lot more to teach you about the animals sleeping at the foot of your bed.